All right, here we go. College football payoff. We are back. It is rivalry week. I said it right this time. Week 13.
Episode 70.
Yep. Episode 69 plus one. I'm Dan. That's Fuji. Um, Back to probably one of the most anticipated weeks of the year for us. It's the season. It's basically the week before, all hell breaks loose with the college football championships, or conference championships, Army, Navy. But this week is the week of all. I mean, you got Ohio State, Michigan, you got Oregon, Oregon State, you got all the rivalry games going, and I'm excited for it. Thanksgiving week, so we're recording a day earlier. Get this out a day early so that while you're recovering from Thanksgiving dinner, you can give us a listen and
Got some games.
get some games. Um, all right, so I don't really want to waste too much time. Let's just get right into last week's recap. So 2-1 for me last week, and unfortunately, I had the 3-0 with Rutgers plus 20.5. They end up losing to Penn State by 21. The other two games I did win. I had Oregon, Arizona State over 54. That was a win. Oregon almost covered that on their own. And then Georgia minus 10 over Tennessee. That was pretty easy as well. So that brings me to 18 and 17 overall in the year. So still positive, but felt good last week and feeling it this week as well. So, what about you? What was your record?
2-1. Finally a winning week. Feels good. Oklahoma State and Georgia Tech, easy winners, never a doubt. And then my one loser, Kansas State, 7.5 against Kansas. Honestly, I bet it again. Bet
Yeah.
it again. It was the right play. We got you the CLV. Told you minus 7.5. It closed minus 9.5, minus 10. And we knew that the Kansas second string quarterback wasn't going to be in. They were going to be down to the third string. And they still, just found a way to get coached by Lance Leipold. Still won the game, just didn't cover. So
Mm-hmm.
2-1. I'm at 17, 22, and 2 on the year. I got 4 picks this week. We're coming back. We're climbing back from the dungeon.
I mean, yeah, as a pod, we came back last week. That's 4-2 overall as a pod, and I feel like later in the season, if you start to get those winning records going, then you start to feel good about it, and at least I can see kind of clear on the 3 games that I have. Some of the other games, kind of, I'm not too sure about, but these 3 kind of jumped out at me, and I know that I got a pretty good read on them.
You got anything to say about last week?
Yeah, the Jordan Travis. I mean, that was bad.
It's tough.
And it's almost like, and I know the committee's not gonna, even if Florida State wins and all that, they're not gonna base their rankings off of if a Heisman guy gets hurt, especially if it's quarterback. Are they going to keep him out of the playoff? I don't think they will, but I don't see Florida State being able to really come back mentally from this. I feel like they won that game. They win that game. Granted, it was against, who was it? North Alabama.
Mhm.
They were losing in that game early. Like, even when he got hurt, I think they were losing. And I think that's an injury where team rallies around him and kind of wins that off adrenaline alone. But yeah, that's a tough beat from last week. What other games were there? Yeah, not too much. I mean, kind of ho hum.
So I will say, ESPN bet was handing out free bets last week.
Mm-hmm.
Took 2 of my $50 free bets, and although I'm against him winning Heisman, I put it on Jaden Daniels plus 300. So I got a $300 free roll. If he wins with a 25-1 Bo Nix ticket on the other side, I think it's down to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one gripe I have is I just think Hugh Freeze is the biggest bitch in college football. Dude, 6.5 unit swing for me. I bet a preseason total over 6.5 wins for Auburn, and all I needed was for this SEC team to beat New Mexico State as 24, 25, 26-point favorites last week, and they lose outright, swinging me from +3 units on that win total to -3.5, and just 6.5 unit swing just because Hugh Freeze's bitch ass can't beat a fucking New Mexico State team from the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean, I tried to DM him on Twitter, calling him a Mark-ass bitch. I wouldn't go through. So, I mean, I hate Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze, if you're listening to this, I hope you die.
There we go.
Yeah, that Real Fuji's back this weekend.
Real Fuji's
that,
back.
Watching that, I was just pulling my hair out. That was the worst thing ever. But you know what? All good. We won last week.
All good.
And man, when it comes down to this crunch time, when you're fighting towards the end of the year, that 6.5 unit swing is everything. Little update: didn't catch the Michael Penix Jr. 56 yards or over 3,750.5 yards last week because he only threw for like less than 200. So I need 56 yards out of him this week. Please don't get hurt. My biggest offseason
man,
bet.
don't say that.
So
all right, yeah, because he's part of one of my bets. So, we definitely can't have him getting hurt.
just get me 56 yards, dude.
I think you'll be fine. Hopefully, you'll be fine. Let's hope.
All right. You know who I thought I was fine with? Auburn. Turns out I'm not.
I know. I'm sorry. That's brutal.
I know.
Shit. All right, man. Let's just jump right into these games. I'm excited for the weekend. I'm excited for football Thursday through Sunday, basically. We got action on tonight, actually, too. I'm gonna watch that.
I actually took a little bit of Buffalo -4.5 for action.
Yeah.
Nobody, you won't be able to bet this, but we'll see if that's a good omen for the week or not. I've been really bad on action this year.
You know, when you hear this, say congrats, Fuji, on your win. That was a great win by you. You know, Buffalo was the right pick. Good job. All right. You're starting us because you got 4 plays this week, right?
Yeah, my first one's just real simple. Egg Bowl, Ole Miss -10. Already bet it at 9.5 earlier this week. Figured that was going to be the best number I got, and I think that number will climb maybe to 10.5 -11, 11.5 at worst. So bet it now. For the official pod line, it'll be -10. Yeah, man. Couple factors here. Mississippi State obviously fired their head coach, as they should, but this is a team that's just trying to get to the off season. They need to complete their coaching search. They need to get back on the recruiting trail, and their bounce back, like all post, we fired our coach, like big rally was last week when they played Southern Mississippi. Ended up winning that game 41-20. I actually did end up betting Mississippi State last week. They covered by about a touchdown. But man, there's more at stake here. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin wants that 10-win season. Another one under his belt at Ole Miss that'll tie the season all time at that school. And on top of that, man, Mississippi State beat him last year. RP Coach Leach. Mm-hmm. But they came into Ole Miss last year and whooped Ole Miss as the underdog. I've been watching this Ole Miss team this year. Not too impressed with their defense, but I do like Jackson Dart, and I do like Spencer Sanders, and I just love what the odds have at quarterback. Quinton Judkins, obviously, he's going to be looking to cross that 1,000-yard rushing mark this game. Yeah, I just think talent-wise, motivation-wise, and revenge spot-wise, this is all just looking towards Ole Miss. And I don't think that, first off, 10 points isn't a big enough spread to take your foot off the gas, and I don't think Lane will here. One thing, especially when it comes to rivals and in-conference rivals and recruiting battles and stuff, is you kick your enemy while they're down. Mississippi State is down right now when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to personnel. So I think Ole Miss could make a big example out of them this week, for the recruits of the state of Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So give me the Ole Miss Rebs official line for the pod -10.
Yeah. I'm going to probably be betting all the big-time rivalry games, as you should. That's one that, I'm going to follow you on that.
Yeah,
I like the way you're thinking, especially with the recruiting thing. I think that's playing more and more into effect.
Transfer portal
games, big time. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some games that I looked at that I was reading up on, and people are saying, well, they have nothing to play for. That's not true at all. All these rivalry games are huge for transfer portal guys and for recruits coming in, and I think that's where a lot of people that are handicapping these games are kind of missing. Is like that we're in such a crazy day and age where recruiting is a lot harder and a lot more difficult than it has been in the past
Hmm.
because if you lose this game to your rival, right, it could affect your team for years to come, more than ever. So,
And on top of that, I mean, that's the one data point going against us here is that Mississippi State is fighting for that sixth win. It's
hmm
their last chance to get to bowl eligibility. But man, nobody on that team wants to go to a bowl this year. It's been such a disappointing season.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think they're ready to move on. And although it's a rivalry game, once Ole Miss gets up by like 3 touchdowns midway through the third quarter,
it's
towards
like
the end of the third
finish
quarter,
us.
they'll
Yeah,
just we'll be good. So
got it. All right, first game for me. We're going with the Apple Cup, Washington State against Washington. This one's 4 o'clock on Saturday at the University of Washington, and I'm going with the over. What do I got it at? 67 and a half. Over 67 and a half in Washington State, Washington. Um, this is fun. I mean, you got, like we said, Michael Penix Jr., right? We're on passing yard watch for him, so 50 something yards, and we cash that for you. But Washington's undefeated. They're trying to get their way into the college football playoff, and I think they see somewhat of an opening now that Florida State lost Jordan Travis, and that Ohio State, Michigan play each other this week, which I'll talk about later. But Washington is going for that undefeated season. They want to cap it off. Penix Jr. He's a Heisman candidate. I wouldn't say favorite right now, but he's a candidate. Um, he's beaten Oregon. Went on the road and beat Oregon State 22-20 last week. Tough game. And listening to him in his post game interview, I mean the guy he's class. So I feel like he's going to really get these guys up and ready to go for this one. The perfect season on the line is it's something not a lot of guys in college football can say that they've accomplished. So I feel like he's mature enough to kind of lead that team. They're loaded. Washington's loaded on offense. They're averaging close to 40 points a game, which is ninth in the FBS. Defense keeps them in the games. There's a lot of close games, but defense keeps them in while the offense scores the points. Washington State, like we talked about, this is one of those teams fighting for bowl eligibility. They're 5-6 right now. They have to win to get in. Cameron Ward, their quarterback, he's played all right. 66% completion rate, 22 touchdowns, 5 picks. But it's mainly their defense that has been underperforming. That's kind of like holding Washington State back. They've allowed 28, close to 29 points per game, 94th in the country. Um, they started the season 4-0, and they've gone on to lose 6 straight. So it's tough for them. Washington State's going to try to play spoiler, but I think this is going to be a very, very tough spot. Um, I'm expecting big days. I'm expecting a big day for Michael Penix Jr. Last game at home, so it's senior. I don't know if you consider it senior day. I think it is because it's the last game at home, right? Senior
yeah,
day.
senior day.
Yeah, yeah. So senior day, I expect big things. I also expect Dylan Johnson, their running back, to have a good game. 5.8 yards per carry with 11 rushing touchdowns this year. Wide receivers are going to help out Penix. I just think this game right now, setting the total at 67.5, people know that there's going to be barely any defense played in this. I think Washington needs to. This is their chance to prove that they belong in the college football playoff, and they need to put up a lot of points to do so. You can't skate by with a 30-20 win or whatever it is. You got to probably score north of 40 points to really turn some heads in a rivalry game for someone to look at you. So I think this is easy. I think Michael Penix shines. I think he goes back to early season Michael Penix. We could see somewhere around 400 to 500 yards, hopefully, right? Knock on wood for you, and then probably 5 touchdowns, 5 to 6 touchdowns. So I like the over in this. I think there's going to be a lot of points, and I think defense is going to kind of be non-existent in this one. So over 67.5 is easy for me.
We're going to stay on that game.
Got it.
because I'm taking Washington State plus 16.5. Official bet this week. I really wanted to find a 17. I couldn't find it anywhere. But I will be taking Wazoo plus the 16.5. You know why? This was the last time that Washington beat their opponent by more than 10 points.
I don't know. It's week 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 4.
Week 4.
September 23rd
Okay.
was the last time that the Washington Huskies beat a team by more than 10. Now, they did beat USC by 10 in November, so exactly on 10. But the last time they beat a team by more than 10 points was versus California on September 23rd. Since then, man, they've been on a crazy schedule run, which I thought they weren't going to survive. And I think that ends this week. Or if it doesn't end this week, it's definitely ended next week against
Mhm.
Oregon. But after they beat California by more than 10 points, September 30th, beat Arizona by a touchdown. October 14th, beat Oregon by 3. October 21st, beat Arizona State by 8. October 28th, beat Stanford by 9. Next week, beat USC by 10. Next week after that, beat Utah by a touchdown. And then last week, won by 2. Also, didn't score in the second half last week.
Yeah, that kind of scares me a little bit.
Man, they just play close game after close game after close game. If you're going to give me 16.5 in a rivalry game against a team who got their mojo back last week against Colorado, man, I like Cam Ward a quarterback. I just think Washington's beat up, man. All power to Washington. I like them. I think they're beat up. So I'll be fading Washington, taking the plus 16.5 for the Washington State Wildcats, right?
Wazoo Wildcats, yeah.
Wildcats. And I'll also be cheering for Michael Penix Jr. to throw for 56 yards. So that is my handicap of this game.
Well, there we go. Yeah, we can get both. We can get 2 birds stoned at once in this game. Then we can have Washington State keep it close or outright win it, and then a lot of points being scored. Because, I really don't see defense coming to play in this game. I really, whether it would be Washington State or Washington getting a stop here and there to tip the line. I'm cool with it, but yeah, I like that, man. Good. All right, well, shit, you got your 2. Let's go to my yeah, you got 2. All right, I'll go to my second here. I'm not going to wait till the end. We're going to talk Ohio State, Michigan. Right now, I think the line is at 3.5, maybe. Michigan favored. Mine's not loading. There it is. Last I checked, we had
3.5.
Yep, Michigan favored 3.5. They are at home, which they should be. I mean, whoever was the home team in this game, I feel like should have been favored, so that's fine. Michigan 3.5 at home. I'm taking the Buckeyes plus 3.5. I haven't been on the Buckeyes all year. It's the past 2 weeks for each team. So I've watched. Obviously, I watch Ohio State every week, but I've watched both teams very closely these past 2 weeks, ever since the whole cheating scandal and all that. Ohio State seems to be kind of finding something with offensive play calling now. Kyle McCord, all the way up until 2 weeks ago, looked scared. He looked indecisive. Now he's starting to kind of fill in a little bit, but the biggest key to that offense, and it's not even Marvin Harrison Jr., it's not Cade Stover, it's not any of the wide receivers. Right now it's Travion Henderson and how he's running the ball. Early in the season, man, he looked slow. He just didn't have that explosiveness. These past 2 weeks, he's been hitting holes hard. He's been taking some pretty big chunk runs. He's pretty fast. So I really like where he's going. I feel like he's up for this game. And then on the other side of the ball for the Buckeyes, their defense it's almost a juggernaut. They're so good right now, stopping at the line of scrimmage. Their linebackers are flying to the ball, and the defensive backs. That's always been kind of Ohio State's Achilles heel on defense, has been their defensive backs. Jim Knowles has it all turned around over there, so I really like where this team's going. And I've criticized Ryan Day. I'll criticize him every single week. Say what you will, the guy's fired up, and there's a different feel than there has been in the past years with Ryan Day going into this game. So I'm kind of liking that. Then you look on Michigan. Listen, Michigan's a fantastic team. Blake Corum, their defense is unreal. Where I'm starting to find a little kink in the armor is with JJ McCartney with the past 2 weeks. So Harbaugh's not there for the past 2 games. That first week that he wasn't there, they didn't throw a pass the entire second half. Last week he looked shaky. I saw something, I couldn't find it again, but I saw it. I think it was like a quick Twitter thing that, of course, I lost when I went to find it back. Since Connor Stalions left, and I'm not trying to throw fire onto this, but since he's left, his production has gone down against blitzing.
Okay.
So that's something to kind of look at. I think the interim head coach at Michigan is letting emotion play too much into this. He's an emotional guy, and he's trying to play off of what Harbaugh said with "we're America's team." He looks like he did cry the first week. It looks like he's going to cry every week. I think that the stage is going to be too big for him. I think McCarthy is. I don't think he's going to have as much success. I think they're going to have to lean on Blake Corum, which that's a tough thing to handle. But Buckeyes with 3.5 points, I feel good about our chances in this game. I feel good about winning this game. Yeah, go Bucks.
Okay, a couple
Plus 3.5.
things. Do you think Ohio State's actually figured it out on offense, or do you just think they played 2 weak-ass opponents?
No. All right, I'm glad you said that because they played weak opponents, but the play calling has been changed. So
Okay.
Ryan Day hasn't been throwing. Listen, he was trying to force it to Marvin Harrison Jr. and get him the deep balls, and McCord's not comfortable with that. The past few weeks, McCord's been throwing Harrison on slants, crossers, little bubble screens, right, balls in the flats, and letting him make the plays and do that. He's hitting Cade Stover on little dump offs. He's not trying to hit the big home run anymore, and the running game is starting to open up because of it too. I think their offense has started to figure out. Now, I'm not saying that their offense is perfect. I'm not saying their offense is going to score every time because it's still frustrating to watch. But from week 1 until last week, I have seen pretty big improvements to play calling.
2, man, I don't know where to bet this game. If I could get which is still available, if I can get Ohio State plus 3.5 off of principle, that's probably what I'd take. Just because I have this game very close to a pick'em. Michigan has, I think, 2 of their most important offensive linemen were banged up last week. They didn't play. You don't have Harbaugh on the field. Man, but this game, here's the thing: this game isn't going to be won by Kyle McCord.
No.
The real matchup of this game is Ohio State's defense versus JJ McCarthy. Can Jack Sawyer step up? Can all these other D linemen step up and shut down Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards? So here's in my eyes, like, if Ohio State wins this game's for sure under to me. I think it takes, like, it's going to be like a 17-10 game if Ohio State wins this game, because you just need, let's account for one long reception from Marvin Harrison Jr., one complete drive from Kyle McCord to score, and a field goal. And then let's say Ohio State's defense just shuts down Michigan, takes advantage of the injuries. JJ McCarthy's even a little banged up here. And JJ McCarthy's never won a big game like when it's been on him. Mm-hmm. So if Ohio State can shut down the run and force JJ McCarthy to have him throw over 1.5 interceptions, I think you get in range there. So I might be leaning under here. And it's just like you don't know. Like, man, I've bet Ohio State in this game the last 2 years and lost both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to go back to the well. But man, I have this game coming down to, like, who makes the first mistake on defense, because I think both these defenses are going to dominate this game. I'm not scared of JJ McCarthy at all on offense. And maybe who we're overlooking here is Travion Henderson. But I also think Ohio State's offensive line is softer than years. Yeah. So it's like, man, I think Michigan is tied for the best D line in the country with Georgia. So it's like, can Travion Henderson even get going? I think that Ohio State is going to need Marvin Harrison Jr. to pop off here, and they're going to need their Jim Knowles defense to go crazy. So, like, man, I think it's easier for Michigan to find a path to victory, but I think if this gets extended into like midway through the third, and no one's really like separated themselves yet, or like you haven't seen a big play, I think it's Ohio State's game. So maybe I'll look to live bet it. That'll be
So that tweet that I was talking about with JJ McCarthy, the 2 games since Connor Stallions got fired, he's 59% completion rate, 201 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 pick, and a 64.7 passer rating. So that's in 2 games. Those are 2 games kind stats. Michigan's last 2 opponents, Penn State, obviously, right? The second half where he didn't throw. And then last week against Maryland, which Maryland.
I do think last week they were pulling punches. I think they were just trying to get off the field.
I don't see how you can do that. Yeah. I understand, like, not wanting to get guys hurt and trying to get to next week. But
yeah, they sat a few guys. Yeah. Maybe they didn't have
but
to.
It wasn't, but they didn't set JJ McCarthy.
So the other thing is this game's in the big house, which makes it a little worse too. So
that's why Michigan is favored, because if this game was in Columbus, the Buckeyes would be favored.
Yeah. That's so just neutral site. I got this at a pick 'em.
I am surprised that they have points on it. I thought it was going to be closer to 1 or a pick.
Yeah. So man, it's a very, very exciting game to watch. I'll be in the woods hunting. So hopefully
Jesus,
I'll have it on my phone while I'm going to kill a buck.
No, don't say the buck. Say a Wolverine. All right. Okay, so that's my second game. What do you have for your third pick here?
Yeah, my third pick, rivalry game for rivalry week, classic rivalry game, Notre Dame versus Stanford. And this is just another, buy the trending up stock while you sell the trending down. I'll take Notre Dame minus 25.5 is where you can get it right now. Notre Dame has taken care of business all season long against the teams they're supposed to beat. And that includes against the spread. I mean, we took them earlier this season on the show versus we took them with Navy. We took them with when they played Pittsburgh. And I think those are the only 2 games this year. I took them personally last week against Wake. Man, Marcus Freeman, I think he is the guy for them. But he knows he's not like out of hot water yet. Notre Dame expects a little bit more, and if they're going into the bowl season at 8-4 compared to that 9-3, that is a big difference. It's a big difference among the fan base, among the bowl you get into. So he knows how important it is. And then on the other side of the ball, man, Stanford is just every time they play a worthy opponent, they get their shit rocks. Last win was against Wazoo early November when Wazoo was down. The pinnacle of their season was that 29-point comeback against Colorado. Outside of that, they won the first game of the year against Hawaii, but man, they just get boat raced every game, and they have nothing to play for here. The game's at home, there's not going to be a huge crowd. It's freaking Stanford. They're probably talking about computers or whatever. But yeah, definitely not football. I mean, I wish I had more to say, but Sam Hartman's going to go out on top.
Yeah.
Pretty boy Sam. Man, I love Audric Estime, and I think most of all, I love this Notre Dame defense. I think it's a really solid defense. I think it's proven to be that all year, and I really just don't know how Stanford is going to move the ball this year.
Right.
Let's just real quick. What is the difference in yardage between Notre Dame's leading rusher and Stanford's leading rusher on the season?
Total on the season?
No, just the difference between the totals, from each leader.
Oh, I don't know.
800 over 800 yards.
Like 600, Jesus.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, 25.5, it is a big spread, but we've been betting big spreads in games like these with Notre Dame all season.
Yeah.
So, and guess what? Notre Dame's fan base and alumni have a gambling problem. I mean,
yeah.
Like, it's not like if you're the coach of Notre Dame, you know what the spread is. There's a couple NIL boosters back there being like, "Hey, I'll buy you another player if you cover today." So Marcus Freeman knows the spread, and I forgot about this. So Notre Dame minus 25.5.
Yeah,
actually, it's It's 26 at a lot of places. If you're looking at FanDuel and BetMGM, you can still get minus 25.5 at the time of recording.
Yeah.
So
And again, we are recording this a day earlier, so you'll get this a day earlier. So you might be able to find some of these lines, but jump on them because usually after Wednesday going into Thursday is when you start to see more movement on the lines as more people are starting to get ready to go for the games. And especially with Thursday being Thanksgiving, I could see a lot of bets being placed on Wednesday and moving the lines a little bit. So just jump on it when you can. All right, my last game, Civil War. Okay, it is Oregon State. This is at Oregon. This is our 8:30 game on Friday. So the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, 8:30 in Oregon. I believe it's on Fox, probably. I'm taking the under 62 in this. So the total set at under 62. I'm taking the under. We all know Oregon is they're in the Pac-12 championship with a victory, which would probably put them up against Washington if Washington could win. I think that Oregon State is kind of they're almost on like kind of a mini little revenge tour with Pac-12 teams trying to ruin seasons for some of these teams. Last week you had basically keeping Washington within 2 points. Gutsy performance there. I feel like that was kind of a precursor for them for this game. And last week they gave up 22 points, so I feel like this week their defense is going to be flying high off of it going into an in-state rivalry game, your marquee game on your schedule. I feel like if your defense gets hot there, you should be good. Oregon, yeah, they're going to be big favorites. I'm going to stay away from that. Oregon State just being in the game last week, kind of riding the high. Their offense is averaging about 38 points per game behind DJU. Came in from the transfer portal, but what I kind of know from DJU is when it comes to bigger games, we're not really scoring a lot of points with DJ. Yeah, he's got 20 passing touchdowns, but 6 interceptions, 2,400 yards. I mean, his passing game's solid. Running game is going to keep the game moving, right? It moves at a high pace. Damian Martinez, close to 1,200 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns. He's like 6.3 per carry. He's one of the best in the Pac-12, but Oregon State adds 200 yards, give or take, per game on the ground. Oregon's defense allows just under 100 yards per game on the ground. So we know Oregon, very fundamentally sound. They don't miss too many tackles on the defensive side of the ball, and their secondary is highly competitive. Oregon's offense is scoring a lot of points under Bo Nix, because we know that Bo Nix, Heisman finalist, candidate, favorite, whatever you want to call him, 35 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, 3,500 yards passing. Oregon's 338 through the air per game, and then 200 on the ground. It's a game where all signs are right there, kind of pointing towards a lot of points being scored. Right, offense, offense, offense. But Oregon State has, like last week, it was poor weather, yeah, but Washington was only able to score 22 points against Oregon State. Oregon State is holding, like their secondary is holding opponents to 204 yards through the air. So this could be something where Oregon's going to have to run the ball a little bit more than needed. Bo Nix might get frustrated, which again, I hope he doesn't. But running the football is just, when both teams have to run, it compresses the game. It makes it a shorter game. It makes it feel like a shorter game because the clock's running. So I think when we look into that, we're looking at an under here, and I'm fairly confident that this game stays fast-paced, and you're going to see scores, you're going to see touchdowns, but it's not going to be run and gun, offense scores, next team scores, and back and forth like that. So I like the under 62 in this game. I think this is going to be a fantastic game to watch, and it's a Friday night game as well. So usually when it's Friday night, the stars are on the offensive side of the ball, but that defense is ready to let the pads crack, and you're under the lights. You want to make it shine. So I like the under 62 in it.
Let's go. Okay, my final pick of the week. We're fading another bad team. I really like the matchup personnel wise here. One of the later games on Saturday night, 9 p.m. kickoff. Wyoming's traveling to Nevada. Nevada 2-9 this year. Nevada leading passer and leading rusher the same player. Nevada has only beaten San Diego State and the University of New Mexico. Wyoming, on the other hand, corn-fed hosses, run the ball, and my boy Andrew Peasley, 18-5 touchdown interception ratio. 7-4. Wyoming wants to cap off the year with another nice win. Dude, Nevada's so bad. I mean, they've gotten blown out in most of the games they've played. They never had a chance last week against Colorado State. And then another thing, I know this is very basic, but these teams, 2 of their last 3 games, they share common opponents. Wyoming, within the last 3 games, have played Colorado State. They won 24-15. Meanwhile, Nevada lost 30-20. Wyoming has played within the last 3 games Hawaii, where they won 42-9. Meanwhile, Nevada has lost 27-14. Just complete upside down flips here of the results, personnel, rosters, and motivations. Last game, man, Nevada's not playing anything for anything. You can get this at minus 10.5 still. I think that's very important because this game's got like 21-10 written all over it. Give me Wyoming minus 10.5.
Yeah, your corn-fed boys.
Yeah, and against a bunch of guys that, I mean, dude, Nevada's just been a sorry-ass program for like 2-3 years now. So
they have been. Yep. All right, good cards, man. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this. I mean, we're already starting right now. What time is it? Yeah, we got 15 minutes to kick off for Bowling Green in Western Michigan. 30 minutes after that is your Buffalo game. Tomorrow is Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and then Friday, I mean, Miami, Boston College, Ohio, Akron, Toledo, CMU, and then Iowa, Nebraska. Totals at 26.5 right now.
I'd be taking the over in that, to be honest.
Yeah. Nebraska's favored in that game. I'm taking Iowa to win that game, so that's going to be a nice money line play for me. I like Iowa. I think they're like 9-2.
They are because I have season win total over 8. They cashed it last week for me,
and they are the representative for the Big Ten championship game. So Iowa's in the game. So that might. And no, I'm still going with Iowa.
We'll be betting under in that game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially if they play Ohio State. They're not showing past the 50-yard line versus the defense.
Jeez. TCU Oklahoma is also Friday.
Yeah, I've heard some sharps lean in towards TCU's side there. Yeah, let's look at some other games. I mean, it's a good week. Kentucky, Louisville is going to answer a lot of questions. I think Florida State really needs Louisville to beat Kentucky here, just so Louisville will go further into the top 10 for the rankings. Florida State can beat them in the ACC championship with a quarterback. I think they'll still get in. Texas A&M LSU is going to be a good game. I'm even excited for I am excited to see. Do you think Utah's defense outscores Colorado's offense on Saturday? I wish I could bet on that.
Yeah, I do. What was it? Colorado started off. Well, did they start off? What was their record? 4-0 to start.
3-0.
3-0. Ever since then, it's just been.
Yeah, that's what was supposed to happen, but they're lucky they got off to that start. I mean, man, that TCU game the first week of the year was magical. It's hard to believe that was like 3 months ago.
Colorado was just the talk of everything. Like I was all for Colorado.
Man, I was cheering for them too. Like I want them to do well, but man, it kind of looks toxic out there. They really screwed up by replacing Sean Lewis as the play caller. He's going to be gone at the end of this year.
And I did see they lost a
big time recruit
center.
Yeah. So Missouri. I mean, he's from Missouri. And it was always his dream to go to Missouri, and they just offered him last week or the week before. So he was committed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not as detrimental as Of course, they're going to pile on Dion whenever something like that happens.
Sucks.
But dude, I think just like Shador was out last week, dude, he takes a couple hits in this game. I think they're just going to go right to the backup.
Yeah, I would.
And then Travis Hunter even got hurt last week. But man,
That-
he's a freak of nature athlete, but he needs to put on like another 10
I was gonna
pounds.
say, man, it's kind of scary that he's getting these injuries.
Because he already put on more weight than compared to last year, and I was like, oh, he's good. And man, he's still a little small out there.
If you're
Love
gonna
him.
play two sides of the ball and you're playing competitive positions on both sides, you need the weight.
R.I.P. Travis Hunter, 400 to 1.
Sorry. Cam Rising said he is coming back for his 18th year of college football. So
Yeah,
that should
and
be
they're
fun.
going to the Big 12 last year. They have a chance to bring back all 11 starters on the offense.
Dude, Cam Rising could have his draft stock go completely skyrocket.
Especially
because
because they're going to be playing people like Cincy. So
Wisconsin, Minnesota is Paul Bunyan's, right? Paul Bunyan Trophy.
yes,
Wisconsin 2-point favorite. Did I think they smashed that? I don't think Minnesota has a chance in that
we
game.
got the Iron Bowl 2 with bitch ass Hugh Freeze. Dude, I hope Nick Saban runs it up on him. I wonder, do you think there's a chance Saban retires after this year?
Yeah,
I think he might be out. So
completely retire.
Might.
Not go to the NFL, then come back. I think he's probably done.
I think there's a chance Saban's done coaching football after this year.
And I think it's because little tiny hints. One of them was he has that weekly show with McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
Usually those college football coaches, like Saban's so locked into everything. He's like, yeah, I can't take time off to do a show like this. But now that he's kind of doing it, kind of tells me he's taking a step back a little bit. And that kind of...
I think he's enjoying the ride a little bit. If he... we'll see what it is. I'll be watching that post-game interview very closely after the Iron Bowl this week, because that's obviously a special game. Anybody who's ever coached Auburn or Alabama. So, yeah, I hope he runs it up on Hoas Hugh Freeze.
Yep, me too. Virginia Tech, Virginia. You got...
Oh, I actually need... Of course, I've talked about this under 3.5 Virginia win total I've had all year. It's going to get blown by them beating North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really need Virginia Tech this week, or I'm going to have another future preseason bet meltdown.
Well, let's be Hokie fans for the weekend.
But dude, when it comes to Heisman, I think I'm free rolling. I got a nice Knicks ticket. I got a free Daniels ticket.
Absolutely.
Thanks to ESPN Bet. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's rivalry week, so there's gonna be so many good games out there, man. Just park your ass in front of the television.
Get some leftovers.
All that weight that you put on, you can let it sit over the weekend. You can stress over games that you bet, and that'll be your workout. That's how you lose your weight.
And I will say one more thing before we go. Still standing on my playoff prediction that I gave on
Okay.
What was the day? November 8th. Still going to be 1 Georgia. Sorry, but I think it's 2 Michigan, 3 Oregon, 4 Texas.
Yeah.
But for your sake, maybe Ohio State will be Michigan, and
I heard
they'll be
so.
2.
So this was kind of brought up where Ohio State was number 1 in the polls, and then they dropped to 2.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have Ohio State 2, Michigan 3. Michigan's been 3 or 4. So that tells me, and tell me if you're thinking this too, if Michigan, as a favorite, beats Ohio State, again, not by a blowout, but they beat Ohio State as a home favorite, is the committee trying to set up Ohio State staying in the playoff somehow by having them?
We're trying to set it up. I don't think they'll be able to accomplish it.
Because I think what they're saying is if Michigan loses this game, they're out. If Ohio State loses, there's a chance that they stay at that 5 or 6, right? In the hunt. And then if those people above them lose in their conference championship or whatever should happen, then they could sneak them in. But
I think Michigan has a better chance of losing this game and still making it to the playoff than Ohio State does.
See, I think I'm flipped on that just because of how they ranked them early, but we'll see. It's beating your head against a wall trying to figure out what they do and how they think. So just sit back and enjoy it, I guess. But for the sake of myself, I hope you're 100% wrong in your playoff predictions. But all right, you got anything else?
No, let's go back through them.
All right. Let's see. My picks for this week, building off a 2-1 week last week, I got Oregon State, the under 62. That's a Friday game, so get that. Washington State, Washington over 67.5, and then Ohio State plus 3.5 over Michigan.
All right, I got 4 picks this week for Rivalry Week. Give me Ole Miss minus 10, Wazoo plus 16.5, Notre Dame minus 25.5, and Wyoming minus 10.5.
Right, and I did want to say that's which game was it that you just said?
Wyoming?
No, Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
That game is a Thursday night game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so make sure that you guys get that because we're releasing this a day early, so once this comes out, you got to get it. But just be wary of that. All right, hit them with socials so we
Yep.
can get on the road.
Follow Dan at dposk13 on Twitter. Follow me at FujiBets. Most of all, follow the pod at CFP_pod.
Right, you can get us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. Just find us, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and let us know who you're backing for Rivalry Week. And hopefully everyone goes out there and wins some money. That's it. You got anything else?
I think I'm good.
All right, sweet. That's Fuji. I'm Dan. We'll see you next week.